Tom, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's a beautiful, gloomy Milwaukee, Wisconsin, dreary winter day.
I love it. The best kind. The best
The
kind.
best. I got office window behind me outside this warehouse that we're looking at, but it's we've had a weird winter, man. We're currently averaging like 45 degrees in January
Yeah. It's
in
been
the Midwest.
weird everywhere. Like we all got that crazy cold spell, and
Yep.
then it didn't snow here at all in New York during that cold spell, but the day that it ended, it started snowing, but it really turned into rain because that was the day that it went from like 8 degrees up to freaking like 40. And if it if it stayed that way for one more day, it would have been like 2 feet of snow. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
been
we
weird.
had snow in November and December, and we haven't had anything since Christmas.
Yeah, same here pretty much. Um, well, dude, for people that don't know you and your story, give us the spark notes. Who you are, where are you coming from, what do you do now?
I'm Tom McCrossin. I'm an industrial real estate investor running a private equity company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I started the business 3 years ago, putzed around in some real estate when I got married in 2010, buying some duplexes with my wife. Had a W-2 job and said I want to buy more real estate. So that's the high level cliff notes. Today we operate an industrial portfolio of about 360,000 square feet. One of those warehouses is right behind me.
That's wild. Okay. Um, what were you doing on with a W-2? What were you doing for
So
work?
I worked my last W-2 before I walked out the door was a we were insurance restoration contractors. So you had fire, water damage in your house. The insurance company would be called. We would be called in to write an estimate as the contractor and negotiate with the insurance carrier to ensure that there was enough money being paid out to do the repairs. In the insurance world, they use a estimating software, and if you don't know how to play the game, you're not getting enough funds to put your house back together.
Hmm.
So it was fun. I did that for about 5 years, and there was a lot of fun to be had in that industry.
Yeah.
The one thing that drove me nuts was the unappreciation of clients. You'd come in, you'd rebuild their, I had a client in that world. They bought a foreclosure single family house for $40,000. A week after they bought it, it got hit by lightning, set on fire. Their policy was for $390,000, which we were able to grab all $390,000 to rebuild their house. They got everything you could ever dream about, and they were the most unappreciative client that I think I had ever dealt with
How?
because it was insured for 390,000. It was a full house fire, it was a full gut, whole
No, I
second
mean,
floor had to get rebuilt.
how are you unappreciative of that? Like you just got a $400,000 home for 10%, and like Mother Nature plus your company essentially handed them a $400,000 home with 40 grand in.
So I think that the unappreciation comes from the delays that occur through an insurance claim. And I'm not here to talk about the pros and the cons of it, the insurance world. But at the end of the day, like you have a house fire, it could take 6 months to get an approval from the insurance company to pay
Yeah.
out. So you have that emergency. We come in, we board up your house, we get it, drying equipment done, or we tarp the roof to prevent any further damage. Then the insurance company comes in and does their investigation. And then it's a matter of writing an estimate. And when you're talking about, someone that bought a house for 45 or 40,000, whatever it was, and the policies for 390,000, there's questions of was it overinsured? Is there
Yeah.
too much insurance money at hand? Then there's a concern that you could be underinsured. I mean, there's all these caveats to, I refer to it as the game because that's what it is.
Yeah.
The insurance adjuster's objective, as much as they want to deny it, is to never pay out a claim. And we're here on your side. I mean, I don't know what insurance carrier that comes from, but you hear the commercials
Yeah.
and they want to be their commercials are they want to be your friend and we're going to help you put your life back together. At the end of the day, as a contractor, our goal is to make money. And
Mhm.
so there's this butting heads that occurs
Yeah.
But from that experience, it helped understand like how to renovate real estate.
Mm.
And so 2019, I was unfortunately walked out the door by my employer for I think the concern was that I took the customer side over my project manager side on a scenario on a customer site. The project manager was irate that the customer was being unreasonable, and I actually thought the project manager wasn't doing his job. And the
Oh wow.
employers, the boss just thought I just couldn't manage people and said, "Yeah, time for you to go." Well, I turned around and bumped into an old attorney friend of mine and said, "I want to buy more real estate and control my destiny."
Yeah.
Um, and 2020, we bought a single family house, a duplex, renovated them, refinanced them, took cash back. And 2021, we bought 100,000 square feet of industrial. And 2022, we bought 350,000. So I've had a very quick growth spurt, but 2020 was the year that I think we can all agree was a lost year in business. Nobody knew what was what and when you're going to do what. How are you going to take the risk? What are you going to buy? Is the world going to, essentially shut down? I remember buying that first duplex in 2020. We were closing on a Thursday, going and the news media is talking about the pandemic and
Mhm.
COVID and the challenges that were going to come with it. And my wife and I said, should we not buy this? Like, are we going to lose everything we've put our heart and soul into
Yeah.
as we're buying this duplex that we have to essentially remove the tenants because they're paying far too little and they haven't maintained the apartments. And so our premise is to always renovate a duplex, new kitchen, new bathroom, new plumbing. We closed on Thursday and Friday. The Wisconsin shut down the tenant moratorium. You couldn't evict anybody. You couldn't ask any tenant to move out. You couldn't evict them for not paying rent. Um, so we waited 6 months. We took a hard money loan to buy this piece of real estate, and we had enough rent coming in to cover the interest only payment. We
Mm.
couldn't really afford to do any maintenance. We couldn't do anything. And it was like, do we tell the tenant that we're going to ask them to move? Or what happens if we tell them that and they know that we can't evict them? They're going to just stop paying rent.
Yeah.
So we waited until the moratorium was lifted. And I think that was like July or August of 2020. And we gave them a 30-day notice that we're not going to renew their month to month lease. And they had lived in the building for 22 years or 23 years and were completely I can't say that word. uh, Shocked that
Yeah.
we were asking them to vacate, and there was a lot of emotion. I was like, "Well, we bought the building to renovate it. Well, can we move out? And when you're done, can we move back in?" And I was like, "Well, sure, but I don't think you're going to qualify because you guys, your income and the rent that you're currently paying is a third of what we're going to require with the renovated duplex." Um, so we gave him an extra 30 days. So we
Mhm.
weren't able to start renovations until, end of September. Maybe it was end of August. But I was able to renovate that place in 92 days. That was the only job I had.
Yep.
Uh, so we were able to got the kitchen, got the bathrooms, both upper lower unit. Um, and I did my secret sauce, as I like to call it. We're on the residential side, we want those places to be, mint condition with a new tenant.
Yeah.
Because my philosophy is that once it's renovated, once it's completed, the maintenance requests are going to be non-existent. There's nothing to break. Um, so we rent it. So I figured I spent $65,000 a duplex, and I was like, I'm just going to buy duplexes. This is really fun. I really enjoy the carpentry. Mike, you had commented that had you known what commission sales was, that you may not have ever done what you did in life.
Yeah.
And had I known what carpentry was, I would have never gone into sales. I would have been a finished carpenter. I really enjoyed working with my hands,
Yeah.
but I had gone down a certain path in life of sales and getting commission and bonuses. And I was making, close to six figures in my W-2. How could I ever leave that to go be a finished carpenter?
Mm-hmm.
And what I didn't realize is that there are some finished carpenters that make six figures
Yeah.
because they're that damn good. And I think, personally speaking, I'm a huge advocate for the trades. I may not be a trades person per se, but I deal with the trades every day. And I'm a huge proponent to say, K through 12 needs to push that the trades are a solid career choice and that there's a ton of different opportunities that you can go in the trades. You don't have to necessarily be a plumber forever or electrician or HVAC technician. You can start there and work your way up into a sales role or a general manager role or open up your own business.
Yeah.
Um, there's a ton of different ways you can go and still provide solid uh, experience and job abilities for others to follow in your footsteps. So here we are. I've been in my business for 3 years. We run a real estate management company that only manages real estate that we have ownership in, and it's been a roller coaster, man. I think the biggest takeaway is that anything is possible. You have to apply yourself and do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Without doing the work, you can't just sit there and say, "Oh, someone wasn't willing to give me a chance, so I'm gonna beat up on myself and not take the risk." I think in sale, most of what I do every day is a sales type role.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pick up the phone and make 100 dials a day or knock on doors, but whether you're getting a new tenant in your building, you're selling them why you're a great landlord, why you're a great option, why the space that you have is a good fit, or you're dealing with an existing tenant and trying to sell them why they have to maintain something that their lease requires them to do.
Yeah.
And so any or it's a contractor that we're hiring and we're selling them why we're only going to pay X dollars. Yeah, I get it. You gave me a quote, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I completely agree about the trade stuff. Like, I remember, so I graduated college in 2012. Yeah, 2012. And I remember around that time, like shortly before that, it was starting to come to light that like the trade schools, like there just weren't enough trade workers coming to light, like
Mm-hmm.
being produced because everyone had just sold this pipe dream of this 4-year degree with a quote unquote, like you would guaranteed make more money. Meanwhile, you could come out of a trade school making way more money than coming out of a 4-year
Yep.
degree with like an associate's or a bachelor's in who the heck knows what. And
Right.
like you're expected to pay back like a $200,000 student loan bill on $45,000 a year. Like none of the economics made sense. And there was just no one painting the picture properly of, dude, you can go to a trade school, learn a trade, move into like an apprenticeship and get like right out of it, be making six figures, but you just don't get the cool diploma that I don't think I've
Sure.
ever freaking looked at in my entire life. I actually don't even know if I got it. If I did, it's in my parents' house somewhere.
I
Like,
think like the thing uh that you can gain from that college is going to be some of the um the logic, the
yeah,
thinking, the processing, right?
I agree.
But what they still don't teach, whether you're in K through 12 or you're in 4-year school, is financial literacy. Like that skill in itself can can uh can super help you grow net worth, grow wealth. Just the ability to understand, like as a business, you make you got your income, you got your expenses, and then your net profit, right? So in
Yep.
your personal life, you got your income, you got your expenses, and you should have the net profit that you're able to invest and make the money work while you're sleeping,
Yeah.
whether that's through real estate or another investment vehicle. Um, I chose real estate. I think it's a great ability to, in commercial real estate specifically, to force the appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
And our whole strategy is to find projects that no other investor wants to deal with. I just looked at one today that was 90,000 square feet of office that we would have to demo and create warehouse space. Like
Hmm.
that project in itself is a daunting one. It's probably an 800, $900,000 project
Yeah.
that, if you hired a general contractor, they'd be $1,000,000, $2,000,000, $3 because they need their profit margin. Well, as an
Yeah.
investor, as a business, as a building owner, we're not in the business of making money on construction. We're in the business of making money on the real estate,
Yeah.
ensuring our tenants are paying as value, providing as much value back to our tenants as possible is our goal.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And the financial literacy piece is huge. I'm curious, when you were early on, like how much of that world did you know as you were kind of getting into real estate? Like, were you
I
aware of the different financial sides of it, or did you just kind of shoot from the hip and figure it out?
I'm the guy that will jump in 2 feet first. There's a burning building. Let's go jump in and see how we put it out. And that's been our motto as my wife and I grow our real estate holdings is what's the worst that can happen? You
Yeah.
lose it all. Well, you know what? If you never get started, you never have any ability to gain anything.
Yeah.
And so like we go back 2012 when we bought our second duplex that had no walls. It was a complete gut job that another investor threw their hands up and said, I'm in over my head. Well, we jumped in, took our life savings, bought the building cash, um, and renovated it and at the time we both had really decent W-2 jobs, so we had the cash to just continue to reinvest into this piece of real estate. Well, fast forward to 2019, from 2012, we had a duplex fully paid off that we were able to refinance, cash out on that piece of real estate through some mortgage, and I was able to invest into my first industrial real estate deal in 2019 as a 50% partner, brought $140,000 cash to the deal. And just this year, we refinanced that building that we bought in 2019 and got 100% of our money back after 3 years. So you ask about learning about financial literacy. I literally do everything I do is jump feet first in and figure it
Yeah.
out as we go. And it's conversations like this that you start picking up on. Hey, did you know you could do X, Y, and Z if you do it that way? Nope,
Yeah.
had no idea. I was even earlier today having a conversation with a pending new employee, and he's like, "Do you have any checklists? So like, what happens day to day?" I was like, "Nope, probably something we should work on."
Yeah. Probably need to read the email. I know Jordan and I talked about that. So did you buy that building cash because you didn't have financial literacy, or was that like a play? You just think that you had to
The
pay cash?
duplex, I had no idea what private money lending was or hard money lending was in 2012,
Got it.
and 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 I honestly don't even know if I said, "Hey, let's figure out the underwriting and how are we actually going to make money on this duplex."
Just
It
give me.
was like, just give me the opportunity. We'll renovate it. We're gonna make money eventually. Are we actually
Yeah.
gonna make, what's our ROI? Like we didn't figure that out. It wasn't until 2020 that I realized like, hey, it's this whole real estate game. You gotta figure out how much money you're gonna put down and what's that gonna make on a cash on cash return. I mean, my first intentional investment in real estate was 2020. Everything I had bought prior to that was because it's what you do.
Yeah.
Like you buy a house to live in because that's a better choice of an investment than paying rent. If I had to do it again, I would never have bought my first piece of real estate at 19. I would have rented and applied the money in real estate, the extra money I could have had because in anytime you own a piece of real estate, there's always surprises, right? So you
Yeah.
buy a single family house and the water heater has to be replaced, or you're going to renovate the kitchen, or
Yeah.
you're going to build out your basement or make a huge, nice backyard getaway. All of those dollars spent cannot return the same ROI that if you invest in real estate that is rental real estate, cash flowing real estate
Yeah.
will always generate better profits than investing into the house you live in.
Well, yeah, because you just pay for the house you live in.
Correct.
Then we get into the whole asset versus liability conversation that people get super confused talking about their home because everyone told them that it was an asset their entire life.
Yeah.
You know?
And your home is not an asset. Your home is a liability.
Yeah.
Unless you bought a house for pennies on the dollar out of the downturn of 2010, like I did.
Yeah.
But I still say that had I not bought my foreclosure single family and invested $160,000 of renovating it, that 160 could have been used to buy another duplex that over the last 8 years would have generated, $15,000 a year in an ROI. I would
Mm-hmm.
have been able to appreciate that piece of real estate and bought maybe two or three more duplexes out of that 160 grand that I put in my house.
It's like real life monopoly, bro.
Absolutely. I mean, even this year, I'm looking at two industrial buildings that I currently own in our portfolio. It's like we can sell those two and we can upgrade them to something else. But I love the game of Monopoly. I grew up playing Monopoly, and it is the best game to understand like how to move the pieces, how to make the money.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. You must be are you excited or fearful of what's going to happen in the next couple of years?
I am
Oh,
100% bullish, man. There is no stopping. The more real estate we gain this year and next year and the year after,
yeah.
in 5 to 10 years, it's going to pay dividends
Yeah.
because the cost of inflation, the cost of construction, it is always going up. So as long as we're able to buy real estate that costs 25, 40, 50% less than new construction, we are going to come out on top in the next 5 to 10 years.
Boom. Um, Tom, before I ask you the last question, where can people follow along with what you're doing? Where can people like where do you hang out most on social? Where can people see and maybe reach out with some questions or plug away?
Best way to reach me is on Instagram, at Tom McCrossin, TOMMCCROSSIN. Um, I am not very consistent at posting anything. I think I posted like three things on I don't know what you even call it to make posts. I'm more active on Instagram stories. I am an open book. You have a question, I will answer any which way. How much money did I make? What did I lose at? Have I lost any money in real estate? The answer to that is not yet. I imagine that at some point I will, because as you do things of magnitude and fast and figure it out as you go, you're going to lose at something
Yep.
at some point. If I said I will never lose, I'd be a fool.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. And I completely agree. It's like I mean, it's easy to talk in the micro with respect to like the crypto markets and the stock markets, and you only lose if you sell. When you're playing in the real estate world, like sometimes you are in a position where they have like you have to like your
Like
can
this,
is called and you have to
that
cut the losses.
so this building I looked at today, 89,000 square feet. The seller bought it in 2000, I don't know, let's call it 2012 for 11.5 million. We're looking at buying it from them for 7 to 8 million. The tenant that was in it was a call center national credit tenant. They thought they would be there forever. The pandemic, actually, it was a call center, so pandemic forced everyone to work from home, and they realized they didn't need the 89,000 square foot building
Yeah.
anymore. And 2021, their lease expired and they weren't willing to renew. So a seller since early 2022 has had a vacant building. It's just a gigantic liability in commercial real estate. And this is our opportunity to say, yeah, we'll buy it for that. The location is phenomenal. Great market that it's in. It's in a suburb of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we're gonna rent it. We're gonna tear out all the office space and turn it back into an industrial warehouse building.
Sweet. So
So
that guy's
I'm
gonna
ex
lose, but you're gonna win.
I'm gonna win.
Yep.
I'm gonna win. But it can I fault them for what decision they made? No. I bought some buildings that I thought the tenant would be there. I have a tenant that's moving from one building of mine to another building, and we haven't found a new tenant yet. So there's that challenge in this market. And in the last 3-4 months, the demand for tenant space has drastically dwindled.
Yeah.
Because I think our biggest challenge of 2023 is going to get businesses to make decisions with the uncertainty of what's going to happen later this year. Whether that's 2023 or 2024, there's lack of decisions that are going to be made for growth because they're fearful that, the cost of investing to move their business, it may jeopardize them if they don't actually grow. You can't
Yeah.
move into a bigger space if you're not willing to have the confidence that you're going to grow or that you've shown that you can grow in the downtime.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least over these next 6, 12, 18 months.
Yeah.
I'm
I
curious.
started in this business 3 years ago. I said we'll see a downturn in the next 5.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what that means, I can't honestly tell you.
time will
I
tell.
firmly believe we're never going to see another '08 because that wasn't caused by that majorly was caused by subprime mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and look at what caused '08 to die in the real estate values, it's short-term balloon mortgages that don't exist today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what transpires over the next year or two. Um, Tom, going all the way back, getting your first piece of real estate, that first foreclosure home, 2010, I think you said, right? Buying your first duplex, 2012, still working the W-2 up until 2018, 2019, and then walking out and just building your own thing, right? This massive trajectory that you've been on. I think you said 300 and something thousand square feet assets under management, doing ridiculous numbers last year, even more this year, this entire window, right?
yeah,
What has been the biggest lesson that you've learned that has yielded the most results and had the biggest impact on your life and in your business?
taking action. It literally comes down to saying what you want to do and going and doing it. If you want that Porsche SUV, if you want that 50-foot yacht, if even if you just want that 3-week vacation in Tahiti,
Yeah.
is figuring out what you need to do to get there and then taking the steps of action to get there is the biggest thing that I've learned from walking out of the W-2. I said I wanted to go buy more real estate. I may have had the right contacts or had the right conversations with the right people to help me get to where I am. But without taking action and conversation with commercial real estate brokers, without my partners, it would have never happened. So my biggest takeaway is to tell everybody who you are, what you do, and how you do it. Because those 3 things define your story. And to say that in 2019, I was buying duplexes, in 2021, I was buying industrial real estate, and I just made the jump, that's a huge differentiator from me to the next guy.
100%. There it is. Tom, thanks for joining me, brother. Really enjoyed this.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
100%.